I, 28 am finally sitting in my house alone, and for the first time in years, it actually feels like home. My wife, 27F, and I were married for 3 years, but the last 6 months were basically a slow-motion train wreck. She had this group of 3 best friends who were more like a toxic fan club. Everything, and I mean everything, from our bank statements to our private arguments was served up as entertainment during their weekly brunch sessions. The turning point was about 2 months ago. I caught her mocking me on the phone to one of them because I was stressed about a career move. When I asked her, as my wife, to please keep our private struggles between us, she didn't even blink. She laughed in my face and told me, "I can talk about whoever I want with my friends. My life is my story, and they're my village. If you don't like it, maybe be a husband worth bragging about." I didn't blow up. I just looked at her and said, "You absolutely can." She took that as me submitting to her queen bee energy. What she didn't know was that her village was already falling apart. Her actual best friend, 27F, who had been in that circle since college, had reached out to me weeks prior.
Why?
Because my wife had been sleeping with this friend's brother behind her back and then joked about using him for errands to the rest of the group. The best friend started sending me voice memos. These weren't just summaries. She was literally recording their brunch sessions. Hearing my wife's voice, sharp and mocking, talk about how clueless I was while the other women cackled was a brutal wake-up call. But it wasn't just insults. My wife was admitting to funneling money from our joint savings into a freedom fund and was working with a paralegal friend to try and find a way to claim the house I had bought with my inheritance before we even met. I spent the next month playing the part of the pathetic husband while my lawyer and I built a fortress. In my state, inheritance is a non-marital asset as long as it isn't commingled. My wife was intentionally trying to trick me into using joint funds for major renovations to create a legal claim to the property. Armed with the recordings of her literally explaining this strategy to her friends, I moved fast. The night I ended it, she was out with her group. I had already filed for divorce that morning and obtained an emergency ex parte order to freeze our joint accounts due to the documented theft of marital funds. I changed the locks and had her best friend, the one who'd been recording everything, over to help me finalize the evidence. When my wife got home at 11:30 p.m., she couldn't get in. She started screaming and pounding on the door, threatening to call the cops. I opened the door on the security chain and told her she didn't live there anymore. I told her I'd filed for divorce and that the house was legally off-limits to her due to the emergency order. The look on her face when she saw her best friend standing in my kitchen behind me was pure gold. She went from entitled girl boss to a screeching mess in seconds. She tried to play the victim when the police arrived, crying that I had snapped, but that ended the moment I showed the officers the court order and the video of her trying to kick the door in while screaming that she was going to lie to the judge and say I hit her. She was escorted off the property with nothing but her purse. Over the next few days, her phone calls went from rage to desperate begging. She tried to say it was all just talk and that she loved me. I didn't say a word. I just let the legal process grind her down. Because we had proof of her freedom fund and her intent to defraud the marital estate, the judge was not kind to her. She was ordered to return every cent she'd hidden. Since she had bragged on tape about her plans, the judge also ruled that she had no claim to the house. The icing on the cake? Her best friend sent the recording of her bragging about financial manipulation to the HR department at the accounting firm where my wife worked as a CPA. Let's just say they don't love it when their employees brag about hiding assets and ethics violations. She was let go a week later. Her village vanished the second she lost her status and her money. They all blocked her because they didn't want to be dragged into her legal mess. She ended up moving back in with her parents in a different state, penniless and disgraced. I'm still friends with the one who helped me. We aren't dating in the traditional sense yet, but we've found a lot of common ground in the wreckage my wife left behind. My wife thought she could say whatever she wanted without consequences. She found out the hard way that when you treat your life like a reality show, don't be surprised when the audience roots for your downfall. If you're looking for more stories about villages getting burned down by their own gossip, make sure to subscribe before my ex-wife tries to claim a percentage of my followers.